Okay, everybody, here we are at step number 7. Good for you for staying committed to your goal of wanting to attain financial freedom. I promise you, you will reap the rewards of the work you're doing here. I've seen it so many times before. People's lives have literally been transformed after they've completed all these steps. All it takes is effort, focus, and the willingness to stick with it. The fact that you're here with me on step 7 tells me that you are well on your way to great fortunes of all kinds. Now, for those of you who are on tape 7, but you didn't do tapes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, yes, you'll get something out of tape 7, but you're not going to attain true financial freedom. I urge you to go back and start with number 1. Don't take a shortcut. Don't rip yourself off of the riches that are contained within all the tapes ahead of you. On this tape, we're going to explore what it means to receive all you were meant to have. I want you to think about those words for a second here. Is it just possible that you're doing something in your life that's blocking all the money that's meant to come your way from coming to you? Is it possible? I'm going to tell you it's not only possible, it's probable. I've seen it time and time again. Do you remember in the first few steps of this tape series how I talked about that money was alive, it had an energy, and it responded to you depending on how you felt about yourself? Can you remember that? This is the key to this step. There's something that most of you do in your life that literally keeps money coming to you. You know, money has an energy all unto its own. It's alive, and it responds to you just like people do. Can you remember in your life when you're feeling powerful? Everything's going fabulously for you. Your friends all want to take you out to dinner, and they want to pay for it. Your phones ring off the hook with people wanting to come over and be with you. You get all the job opportunities that you've ever wanted. They all start coming your way. When you feel powerful, things are attracted to you. But then all of a sudden, things start to go wrong. You're not so happy. Maybe you've had a fight with your lover or your husband, and all of a sudden you're feeling powerless. And do you remember then what happens? Yeah, your friends stick around for a little bit, but all of a sudden they tend to disappear. Nobody calls you anymore. Your phone is not ringing off the hook. If you go out to dinner, most likely you're going out to dinner with yourself. Those job opportunities that you so wanted and you thought were going to happen, well, guess what? Don't they disappear as well? When you're feeling powerless, can you see how your whole world kind of crumbles with you? Your money responds to you in the exact same way that people do. When you're feeling powerful in your life, money is attracted to you. It comes to you. When you're feeling powerless in your life, money is repelled from you. It totally doesn't want to come anywhere near you. Remember, money is alive. We learned that when we ripped up the dollar. That's why we responded to it so differently than when you just rip up an ordinary piece of paper. So you have to remember that sometimes money is fat, sometimes it's skinny, sometimes it doesn't feel well, sometimes it's thriving. But you have to take care of it, and the way you take care of it is by taking care of yourself and making yourself powerful in your own life. Most of you go through life holding on so tightly to that little amount that you think you have, that your hands literally aren't open to receive that which is meant to come your way. When your hands are closed and it's holding on tightly, do you think you feel powerful? Do you think you feel respectful of yourself? Do you think you have faith in your own ability to make money? I don't think so. When your hands are closed tightly, you're coming from such a place of fear. You're coming from a place of not being able to make good decisions the same way that I did with my mama, remember? I came from that place of fear to tell my mother not to buy that stock. And thank God she could come from a place of power and do what was right for her. All of us start to do that in our life. We grab on so tightly that we can't let go. I want you all to turn to the exercise in your guidebook called Receiving Exercise. I want you to imagine that you've gone to your kitchen sink and that you've turned on the water, and the water is flowing very freely out of the tap. And you are dying of thirst. You are so thirsty you can't even believe how thirsty you are. But you can't find a glass, you can't find a cup, and you're going to have to use your hands as a cup to get the water that's flowing out of the tap. However, I want you to now take your hands and clench them in your mind's eye in a very tight grip, in a fist. And I want you to imagine holding your hands under the faucet. And these are the only tools that you have to get a drink of water. How much water do you think you're going to be able to get with your hands closed in this tight fist? Think about it. Not very much, are you? But now I want you, in your mind's eyes, to open your hands, to cup them together, and to now put them under this faucet. When you do so, isn't it true that you're able to get water? You're able to bring it up to your mouth and drink it and quench your thirst? In life, this is what we do with our money. Our hands literally aren't open to receive that which is meant to come our way, because we're so busy holding on to that little amount that we think we have. That's why, if you think about it, for those of you who have credit card debt and you have the cash in your savings account to pay it off, that you don't pay off your credit card debt. Because you are holding on so tightly to the amount of money that's in your account, you don't even have the faith to pay off your credit card debt with it. You would much rather pay 18% in interest charges on that credit card debt than let the money that's earning 4% in your savings account go. That's how you live your life. And when you live your life that way, it renders you powerless. And when you're rendered powerless, guess what happens? You repel money from you. Remember, again, money is a living entity, and it is attracted to you when you feel powerful. It is attracted to you when you are respectful. It is repelled from you when you are not respectful of it and when you feel powerless. So let me illustrate what I'm saying with something I learned from a Mexican parrot seller. I took a vacation one day while I was a broker, and I found myself in this little plaza in Mexico. And I came across this parrot seller, and he had all these parrots, beautiful birds, that were displayed on these perches. And as I was watching them, all of a sudden I thought to myself, oh my God, these birds aren't flying away, they're just sitting there. So I went over to the parrot seller and I said, tell me something. Why is it that these birds just don't fly away? Do they love you that much that they love to just sit here? And he said, no. He said, I had to train them to do so. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, I had to train them to think if they were to clutch onto that perch and never let go, that would mean that they were safe. I had to literally teach them to forget that they could fly free. And as I watched these birds, I thought, what a shame. They were just one flap away from being able to fly and do whatever they wanted to do. I then asked him if this was a behavior that could be untaught to those parrots. And he said it was very difficult, but the larger parrots were able to learn to fly free again. It was harder to teach the littler ones to do so. You know, as he sat there and told me these stories and I watched these parrots, I realized, oh my God, all of us are just like these parrots. We hold on to this perch so tightly, the perch of our money, that we literally don't open up our claws, we don't open up our hands and let go and fly free. When I went back to work, I couldn't get this out of my mind. I kept looking at my clients wondering, how are they clutching on? How are they themselves keeping themselves from flying and being financially free? I then started to notice something very interesting. I started to notice that there were certain people who consistently had more money than others. The clients who seemed to have a lot of money, had a lot of joy in their life, had a lot of financial freedom, were all clients who gave money away on a regular basis, who were very charitable, who were very kind of spirit. Those that seemed not to have that much money, that were always struggling with it, that were clenching their hands so tightly around it, it seemed like those people were the ones who were truly struggling with financial freedom. But I wasn't able to tell if financial freedom was coming to people because they were giving money away or because they were born with it, because I hadn't been involved with their finances before they came to me. And this is what I did. Those clients who came to me, who didn't have money, who felt constricted around financial freedom, I started to do an experiment with. Those that I felt would be open to the idea, I asked them to start giving money away on a regular basis to a charity or a nonprofit organization of their choice. Those clients who came to me that I did not think would be open to the idea of giving money away, I just did their financial plans as normal. I worked with them like I would have before I had made this realization. Well, I have to tell you what I found out was 6 months, a year later, those people who became generous of spirit, who gave money away on a regular basis, started to experience financial freedom in their lives. So why is this? What happens when one gives money away? And why is this a necessary element to attain financial freedom? If you think about it, from the very start of our lives, we've always clenched on to everything that we have so tightly. The things that we think we love or the things that we do love. Think about your mother's little finger. Think about your mother's hand. Isn't it true that you always used to love to grab her fingers and you didn't want to release your grasp? You didn't want to let them go? And she kind of had to force you to do so. The same has happened all through our lives with our money. That's why we grab on to that little that we think we have so tightly. The only way to force the opening of the hands when it comes to money is by giving money away on a regular basis. For when you give money away, your hands are then open to receive that which is meant to come your way. So the question that you have to be wondering, and I was wondering, is why did this work? Why did the simple act of giving money away on a regular basis work? Why did that bring them financial freedom, financial prosperity? And this is the answer to that question. Do you remember earlier on in the tapes, the law of money that says respect and power attract money, disrespect and powerlessness repel it? That is the law that comes into play right here. Let me explain it to you. When you give money away, you give money away as an act of saying thank you, as an offering. You feel generous in spirit. When you feel generous in spirit, you feel powerful. And when you feel powerful, money is attracted to you. Do you remember that? When you don't even feel like you have enough money to give away to something that you support, you feel powerless. You don't feel generous, do you? You feel totally powerless in your life. And when you feel powerless, money is repelled from you. And that is the key to this entire step. Now I want you to think back to a time when you entered a place of worship. Maybe it was a church. And you put $1 in the donation box. Maybe you lit a candle. And you stood there all by yourself with just your thoughts. And you were in silence. And maybe there was silence for a minute or 2 or 3. Can you remember how you felt at that moment? Can you remember how serene and powerful you felt? You felt thankful, didn't you? That's the feeling that I'm looking for here. I'm looking for a feeling of thanks, a feeling of generosity, a feeling of being powerful. For that is one of the main keys to money being attracted to you. Money coming your way. For when you're open and you feel open in your life and open in your feelings and open in your hands, money starts to come to you. Is this true for your life? When you give money away, don't you feel powerful? Don't you feel generous? In a little bit, I'm going to talk about who do you give money away to, how much, how often. But before I do that, I want you to join us back in the seminar and hear how giving money away made our seminar participants feel. I want you to imagine yourself when you went into a church or a place of worship and you put $1 in the donation box and you lit a candle. Has everybody done that at least once or something like that? Can you remember how you felt when you did that? How did you feel, Patricia?
I felt real giving and powerful.
And how much did you give? Maybe $1?
$25.
$25. And you felt with $25, you felt giving and powerful. Key word there, she felt powerful. What is one of the laws of money? Respect and power attracts it. Powerlessness and disrespect repels it. Jeanette, how did you feel? Have you ever done that? Have you ever made an offering at a place of worship by yourself, nobody seen, nobody to be impressed?
Yes.
And how did you feel when you did that?
I guess more soulful. It felt very satisfying.
Satisfying because you made an offering. And when we make an offering, we don't make an offering to say, look how impressed you should be, I gave money. You're making an offering to say thank you. Thank you for what I have, and thank you for what I don't have. And that's why you feel soulful. And there is such power in that soulful feeling because you're connected with yourself, you're peaceful. Bob, have you ever done that?
I've never done that.
You've never done that. Now that's an incredible key here. I can't tell you how vital that answer is to all the people in this room and all the people listening to this tape. Throughout this day, throughout this program, Bob has voiced his powerlessness over his life and his withdrawal from society, so to speak, that you haven't been relating to people lately. You've been withdrawing, and all of us can sense Bob's sadness on some level. And by no means am I saying that money is going to be the key to your happiness, for in fact, it cannot be. You can be the key to money's happiness and how you use it. But in a second, we're going to see how Bob's answer that he has never given money away, he has never done that, plays in Bob's life that way. Bob, in a place of worship, making just a small offering, has never experienced the openness that doing something like that creates. He's never experienced the openness of my hands, and I'm standing here with open hands now. He has spent a lot of his life with clenched fists. Yes, my dear.
Susie, I realize you're making a point here, but I haven't given in that specific way in a church.
Yes.
I've written checks to various organizations.
And how did you feel when you did that?
It felt good.
Felt good. All right. So you've experienced giving.
Right.
And that giving makes you feel powerful or just good, serene.
Felt good.
Why do you give, Bob?
Why?
Why did you give to the organizations that you gave to?
Because I wanted to support what they were doing.
All right. And do we all know that when we give to others, you're really giving to yourself? Do you really know that bottom line, that when you give something to somebody else, and the reward truly comes to yourself? That's an incredible thing to give yourself. It's like you can truly never get out of somebody's debt when you're giving them money because of what it's giving back to you, especially if it's an organization. Rebecca, have you ever given money away, and how did it feel?
I've given quite a bit of money away, and it does feel powerful, and it does feel like you're part of the society and you're part of the community. There's a connection there.
Right. So those are the feelings that I'm looking for. If you really want to be powerful, if you really want the flow of money to continue in your lives, I have to tell you, to get it, you have to give it away. Now, there are rules about giving, and these are the rules. You cannot give money to get it. That cannot be your goal. You have to give money away as, again, a way to say thank you for what I have, and thank you for what I don't have. You have to give it as a true offering from yourself with no strings attached. You can't give it to impress others. You can't give it so somebody will say, oh, Susie gave this and Susie did that, and look how great Susie is. It's not about ego satisfaction. It's about your own personal satisfaction. That's what you're looking for. So you just heard how people that have been taking this seminar with you felt when they gave money away, when they made that offering. So what I want to do right now, however, is just take a few moments to talk to you about the laws of giving. So I want you to now go to your guidebook and turn to the page that says the laws of giving. And you're going to notice that I have certain categories down there, why to give, who to give, when to give. And what I want you to do is, as I'm talking about these laws, I want you to write down which laws resonate with you, which laws are true for you, and how do you want to conduct your life when it comes to giving money away. Now, a lot of you are going to be thinking, is Susie really talking to me about giving money away? I don't have enough money to pay my bills. What is she talking about? I want you to stick through this entire step with me. If you continue to have the mentality that you don't have enough, you will never have enough. I want you to embrace your truth from the previous steps. I want you to take that truth. I want you to be generous, and I want you to feel that of course you have enough and you're going to. So here are the rules of giving. First of all, why do you give money away? You give money away as an offering, a true offering, to say thank you. Thank you for what you have, and also thank you for what you don't have. You don't ever give money away to get money. Nope, it just doesn't work that way. If that's what you think this exercise is about, I got news for you. You are totally wrong. You give money away to open up your hands, to release that grip, so you can feel generous. When you feel generous, you feel powerful, and powerfulness will attract money to you. You have to remember that. So when do you give? I want you to give on a regular basis, every single month. And I would like it to be the very first check or offering that you make at the very beginning of the month. If you can start each and every month out, the first day of that month, from a place of giving, from a place of generosity, you're going to start your entire month out feeling powerful. And again, and I'm going to say it over and over again, when you're powerful, money will come your way. Now, it is important that you do this on a regular basis. I am not talking about here giving one lump sum and then your year is taken care of. No. I am talking about on a regular basis each and every month. You know, in a very odd way, if you think about it, when you give money away every month on a regular basis, in essence, what you're doing is the technique that we learned in step 5, called dollar cost averaging. You're dollar cost averaging money into your own self, into your own faith, and over time, you will reap the rewards beyond what you ever thought possible. So I want you to do that with your money. That's how I want you to start. You now know why you give. You now know when to give. Now the next question has to be, how much do you give? You know, this is something that I can't tell you. It's something that you're going to have to decide for yourself. You have to give an amount that feels respectful to your own self. For some of you, that may literally be $1 a month. For others, it may be $5, $10, $15, or $10,000 a month. Only you know what will feel good to you. This is where I want you to apply the technique that we learned in step 6, to trust that inner voice. I want you to take some quiet time. And I want you to think about an amount that you would like to give, that feels respectful, that feels like it will honor you and your situation. And whatever amount pops out from that gut of yours, that's the amount that I want you to give. As your situation starts to change, as these steps start to take hold in your life, as financial freedom starts to come within your realm and within your grasp, you're going to be able to give more. So each month, I want you to reevaluate how much you should give. Now, probably one of the most important questions is, whom do you give it to? A lot of you are going to feel compelled to give to people you know who are in trouble. Maybe your brothers or your sisters who can't afford to pay their credit card debt. Or maybe to a friend or a lover or who knows. But that's not the point here. Remember, it's different when you give to somebody once. Here's a check for $500, take care of yourself. But on a regular basis, it is not, and I said it is not, okay to give to people. Now let me tell you why I think this. The whole idea behind this step and giving money away is that when you give money away, you're doing it as an offering to say thank you. And in that offering, you feel generous, and again, when you feel generous, you feel powerful and money is attracted to you. How many of you have given money away to a person, and all of a sudden, you see that you don't like what that person did with the money you gave them? Or you see that that person is still being disrespectful to money, or that they never paid you back. And every time you see that person, doesn't it gnaw at you? Do you feel powerful when you see that person? I don't think so. In fact, that act of giving them money has rendered you powerless because you don't even have the nerve to talk to them about it. Before we go on, I want you to briefly hear from one of our seminar participants who did give money away to one of her friends and how it rendered her powerless. And I know that each and every one of you out there is going to be able to relate to her story. To whom do you write this check to? A lot of you are going to have the tendencies to want to give it to a person. Maybe your sister is in need of money. Maybe your friends aren't doing so well and they have some credit card debt that you want to help them out of. But I got news, you're not helping them if you do that. And you're not helping yourself, and let me tell you why. The reason that I've wanted you to give is for you to feel powerful, correct? For you to feel generous, for you to know how much you really have. If you give money to a person, 9 out of 10 chances will be that that person's going to take the money and do something with it that you don't approve of. And maybe you've given them that money and you're feeling great, and all of a sudden you see them out at some restaurant having a fancy dinner. Or they all of a sudden buy a new car that they didn't even need in the first place. Have any of you in this room ever lent or given money to a person? Patricia?
Yes.
How did it make you feel?
I had a friend that I lent $500 to 5 years ago with the understanding that it would be paid back within the year. And I felt very good about loaning it to her. What happened was within 7 or 8 weeks after the loan, she took off and went to Hawaii for a week as she was unemployed at the time. And it actually took her 3 years to pay me back. And I didn't say anything to her up until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel good about it.
Right.
Or myself. I didn't feel good about myself.
Linda.
What was coming to mind for me was the question, what if those gentlemen had not loaned you the money that got you started on this path?
That's a good question. But they didn't do it on a regular monthly basis, number one, which is what I'm looking for here. And number two, when they gave it to me, they gave it to me with the conditions that I never had to pay it back. That it was just for somebody like me to make my dreams come true. And they made a good investment. You know, so again, it's not about helping out a friend in need once or twice. It's not about that. It's where do you write a check to every single month. The point that I wanted to make with Patricia's story is that by giving money to a person, it did render her powerless. If you pick out a good nonprofit organization, or a place of worship, it will never render you powerless. You are never going to see it if you choose it correctly. You are never going to see your money going to Hawaii. You are never going to be sitting there going, why'd I do that? So as you could hear from Patricia, and even the answer that I gave to Linda, it's not okay to give money away on a regular basis to people. Again, loaning money, maybe so. That will be up to you. But on a regular basis, it's not okay to do it to people. So whom do I want the recipient of those funds to be for you? I want it to be either a nonprofit charity of your choice or a place of worship that you honor that makes you feel good. I want you to think about this example so you can see the difference for yourself between giving money to people and giving money to a place of worship or a nonprofit charity of your choice. Can you ever remember being on the street? You're having a good time, you're walking, you're going to wherever you were going, and a panhandler comes up to you and says, "Lady, give me $1," and he's starting to beg from you and he wants money from you, and you're saying, "No, no, no," and you're walking a little bit faster. And maybe you give him money, probably because if you give him money, you feel like he'll leave you alone. How often have you been moved, truly moved, to give money to one of the people sitting on the streets asking for it? Do you not usually do it out of fear? Did that make you feel powerful? I want you to think back to that time. When you put the dollar in their cup or you gave them the money, did you feel powerful? Or did you feel relieved so you can continue on with your day? Now, even though I've spent a few of these past moments telling you not to give money to people, I want to tell you there's an exception to that rule. Don't you know it? There's always an exception to every rule, and here's one. There are a few people that it's okay to give money to on a regular basis. Remember, we're doing this monthly. I'm not talking about in a lump sum, on a regular monthly basis. And that's to the people who raised you. Might be your parents, might be your grandparents, whomever those figures are for you. For we have a duty. It's called a dharmic duty, to take care of those who brought us into this world, who took care of us when we couldn't take care of ourselves. And I have yet to know one person who has given money on a regular basis to her parents to help them make it through their lives because they can't do it, and feel regretful for doing so. Isn't it true? But these are the rules about giving to your parents or your grandparents. Please do it with humility. It's very hard when parents or grandparents need to take money from their children. It is not easy for them. So do it with love. Do it as an act of offering. But do it from a very humble place and a very silent place. And in your silence, you will reap incredible financial freedom. You know, a moment ago, you heard me use the word dharma. And I just want to talk about this for just a few more seconds. For what dharma means is literally the right action of money. And this is what I know to be true beyond a shadow of a doubt. That we experience prosperity, true financial freedom, when our actions with respect to money are dharmic or righteous actions. That is, actions of generosity, actions of offering. Money flows through our lives just like water. At times we have more than we need, and at times it's just a trickle. But I have to believe that each and every one of us is in effect a glass, in that we can only hold so much water, and after that, the water, or the money, so to speak, just goes down the drain. Some of us are larger glasses, some of us are smaller, but we all have the capacity to receive plenty more than we need if we allow it. When you make an offering, the glass will be filled again and again and again. I knew I always felt better right after I made an offering for myself. I always felt stronger, I always felt worthier, and I always felt more powerful. And after a while, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that there was absolutely no coincidence between my making an offering, my clients making an offering by giving money away, and the amount of money that would flow back their way. You know, whenever I tell this to people or I have them do it, there's always this one question that pops up. And people say, Susie, I know people who have so much money and they are not generous of spirit. In fact, they are downright cheapskates. How is that possible that they have money if they don't even give it away? This is what I want you to know. People who are cheap are more trapped than any of those parrots on those perches that I saw in Mexico. Being cheap has nothing to do with how much money you have. You can be rich and cheap, that's true, or you can be poor and generous. But cheap people guard their water glasses and hoard what they have to make sure nothing flows out. New water always has to flow in to keep the water in the glass fresh and useful, otherwise it grows stagnant. Just like standing water in a pond, isn't it true? A pond may look beautiful, but if that water hasn't been flowing, if you drink it, it will poison you. It is no good to anybody anymore. People who are cheap are letting their money stagnate. What they are missing is the serenity that money handled responsibly and generously can bring to them. And the question that you really have to ask is, they may have money, but are they happy? Do they have true financial freedom? You know, think about this. Who is the most generous person you know? Someone who does open up her home to the friends, her heart to those in trouble, her wallet to those without resentment. How do you feel towards this person? Do you think this person can feel your love and appreciation coming back to replenish her? Now ask yourself this question. Is there anyone in your life who you feel is cheap? How do you feel about this person? Do you think he or she can sense the way that you feel? You betcha they can, without a shadow of a doubt. And what about you? Do you think another person would describe you as cheap? Are you constantly worried that people are trying to take advantage of you and your money? Are you unwilling to let money go easily because you're frightened of not having enough? If you have truthfully answered no to these questions, no doubt you already give freely of yourself and your money. You already have financial freedom in your thoughts, in your heart, in your soul. If you've hesitated over any of these questions or found yourself answering yes, then by freeing up your money in this step, you are also going to free up your heart. You know, I hope you have really heard the message here and that you open yourself up to receive all that is meant to be yours. Remember to give to say please and give to say thank you. It's the impulse to give that puts you in touch with the best part of yourself and the principles of abundance that are so very alive in this world. Make them your world. Make them your path to financial freedom. Now I know there are going to be some of you out there that no matter how hard you try, that your thoughts of poverty are just going to keep trying to control you over and over again. So for those of you who will find yourself in this situation, these are the last words that I want to say to you about this. That thoughts of poverty are bonds of poverty. So don't be hard on yourself, because what you have to know is that regardless of how much money you have, it is the natural tendency of the mind to think, I can't give money this month. I don't even have enough to pay the bills. Or there are so many things that I need, I lack, I want. When your mind starts to think that, this is the exact moment to give an amount that is meaningful but realistic. I am begging you to break through these thoughts of poverty, for thoughts of poverty are the chains that keep you bound to your poverty. Mental chains may be invisible, but they imprison you nevertheless. You must and you can break through, overcome, move beyond these mental barriers. You must open your hands, constantly repeat the new truth you created in tape 3 for strength. Think of how much you do have. Think of others with far less, and give thanks with your gift. You see, true financial freedom is a powerful state of mind, a state of being, and it comes from following all of these tapes, all of these steps towards financial freedom. When you have reached this 7th step, when you're right here with me right now, and you feel free to give from what you have and what you have created purely and from the heart. You are nearly free. Can you see that? With your offerings, you are participating in the flow of wealth, which I've discovered is never ending. You know, when I was a little girl, my grandfather at the end of his long, hard life would often say to me, "Susie, listen to me. They can take your money. They can take your business. They can take your family. They can even take your mind. The one thing they can never take from you, Susie," he would say, "is your heart. So you must grow up valuing your own heart. Love life for what you can give it, and don't get bitter over what it will take from you." I want you to think about who are the people in this life you truly love and cherish. What are the things you value most? What do you think deep down inside is the key to your freedom? Do you really think the answer is something as simple as money? You know, most of my clients come into my office with this goal in mind that they want to be free from their worries about money. Yes, and I know that's why all of you bought these tapes too. And that's a perfectly good goal, and that was the purpose of this. It was the purpose to help you break through the barrier of financial anxieties and put yourself in control of your money. However, what you have to know is that's just the beginning of financial freedom rather than the end of it. I have come to believe that the pursuit of money for its own sake is a hollow pursuit indeed. So this step that we've just done and the next 2 steps are about true wealth, about abundance, about my grandfather's lesson that true financial freedom is when you know you are rich with or without a penny. The advice in these 3 short but all-important tapes is radically different from what you will hear or read in any other financial book or program, or unlike what you will hear from any other financial advisor. This tape and the next 2 will take you far beyond what money can buy. And if you let them, they will make you rich in ways that you never dreamt possible. Or perhaps they will simply remind you that you already are.